before marrying Ryan. He backed out again. With a smile, he wrapped his arm around the trending young starlet and told me, "I'm not done having fun yet. Give me 3 more years." I agreed without hesitation, then turned to the top student Marco, who was working at a nightclub. I sponsored his education and even got him a job. When Ryan saw this, he sneered. "Found yourself a little brother?" I looked at his face and laughed out loud. "Yeah, got tired of a playboy like you, figured I'd go for a pure-hearted warrior of love." Later on, the patent Marco and I developed went viral, and he proposed to me on one knee in front of the media. Ryan went crazy when he heard and called me nonstop. "You dare say yes?" Not only did I say yes, I'll let you hear it with your own ears. Chapter 1. At Ryan's house. Our engagement was brought up again. "Diana, both you and Ryan aren't young anymore. It's time to set a date for the wedding." Ryan's mother held my hand tightly, gently patting it. I nodded in agreement, but my eyes drifted toward Ryan. He smiled meaningfully. "Mom, what's the rush? Neither Diana nor I are ready yet." Ryan's mother scolded him playfully. "You brat. If you're not in a hurry about anything, be careful your wife runs off with someone else." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, would you?" As I looked up, my eyes met Ryan's. He didn't seem to be asking. He looked absolutely sure I wouldn't leave him. I looked away, lowered my head, and softly said, "Auntie, this should really be up to Ryan." I thought it best to give the question back to him. After all, he's the one dragging his feet on getting married. But something felt off. Ryan didn't seem like he wanted to give up on this engagement. Whenever someone brought it up, he'd always toss the question to me, as if he enjoyed seeing me flustered. Coming back to my senses, Ryan's mother patted my hand. "Diana, don't spoil him like this." I gave a silent smile. Ryan crossed his arms and leaned back on the couch. "Mom, marriage isn't a small matter. We need to consider everything carefully." Ryan's mother shook her head. "Stop using that excuse with me. Diana is such a good girl. If you don't hurry, someone else will snatch her up." I smiled. "Auntie, don't pressure Ryan. He knows what he's doing." Ryan sat up and looked at me. "Diana understands me best." Just then, the housekeeper walked in and whispered something to Ryan's mother. Her expression changed slightly. "Ryan, something urgent came up at the company. You need to take care of it." Ryan responded and left. I chatted with his mom a bit longer, then got up to leave. Just as I reached the door, I saw Ryan's car parked there. He rolled down the window. "Get in. I'll drive you." I hesitated but got in the car. We rode in silence. As we neared my place, Ryan suddenly spoke. "Diana, no matter what, you're going to be my wife. But don't think I'm the kind of man who gets married on a whim. If you want to marry me, it won't be easy. Wait until I've had my fun." I said nothing, just looked quietly out the window. The car stopped. Ryan gestured for me to get out, and he stepped out too, just as I wondered why. A luxury car pulled up beside us. The door opened. A glamorous woman stepped out. Ryan immediately wrapped his arm around her waist. I recognized her, Emma, the red-hot starlet dominating the charts. While I stood there frozen, Ryan spoke. "To tell you the truth, Diana, I'm not done playing. Wait another 3 years." I laughed bitterly to myself. 3 years? Ryan really knows where to stab me. Emma cooed. "Ryan, who is she?" Ryan shot me a condescending glance and sneered. "Just someone unimportant." Strangely, it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Maybe Ryan really wasn't that important to me anymore. And oddly, in that moment, Marco's face popped into my mind. Without hesitation, I took a cab to the bar. Chapter 2. As soon as I walked into the bar, the deafening music and flashing lights made me dizzy for a moment. I found a seat in the corner, ordered a drink, and waited for Marco to show up. Suddenly, a hand landed on my shoulder. "Pretty girl, drinking alone is boring, isn't it?" I frowned and looked up. A stranger leaned close, his smile filled with bad intentions. "Go away." My tone wasn't pleasant, because I hate it when strangers cross boundaries so suddenly. "Don't be so cold." The man kept pestering me. I impatiently pushed him away, just about to lash out. when a pair of hands suddenly came between us. Excuse me, she's my friend. Please show some respect. I looked up and saw Marco's familiar face. The man cursed under his breath and left. TCH. Coming to a bar and pretending to be pure. Marco sat across from me. Why are you here again? Feeling down? I lifted the corners of my lips into a smile. A teasing impulse suddenly rose inside me. Wanted to see you. Is that not allowed? Marco's ears instantly turned red. Don't joke around. I stopped smiling and looked at him seriously. I mean it, Marco. Seeing you makes me feel better. Hearing that, his expression softened, his furrowed brow easing. You came just to see me? I chuckled. Of course, Marco. Took you this long to notice? Marco's face flushed crimson, but he tried to stay composed. Do you like me? A playful spark stirred in my heart. Can't I? Marco turned his face away, his ears burning even redder. I couldn't help but laugh quietly. He really is still a boy, but I wasn't lying. I did like him, without knowing why. Maybe it was that first flutter of my heart when we met. Or maybe it was just because Marco was Marco. In truth, we hadn't known each other for long, just a few short months. I had used my connections to look into his background. Marco was brilliant, the very definition of smart and disciplined, but his family was struggling financially, forcing him to study and work part-time. That was why he worked at the bar. After learning that, I anonymously contacted the school and paid all of Marco's tuition fees until graduation. I even set up a scholarship, quite a generous one, for top students. I believed Marco would surely earn it. After that, we started spending more time together, even if we weren't that close. I thought, at the very least, we were friends. Thinking that, I didn't even notice the smile on my own face. Marco handed me a glass of water. What are you thinking about? I came back to my senses. Nothing. Aren't you busy today? Just as I finished speaking, the boss's voice rang out from the counter, calling for Marco. Seriously, I jinxed it. As Marco turned away, my mouth moved before I could stop myself. Let's hang out this weekend. Chapter 3. Weekend. Marco and I drove out to a meadow. It was far from the city's noise, the air was fresh and clean, making me feel at ease. Marco took a picnic blanket from the trunk, spread it gently over the grass, then reached out and pulled me down to sit beside him. He rested his hands behind his head and lay back lazily on the mat. Why the sudden idea to come out to the countryside? I took a deep breath, savoring the freshness in the air. It feels nice here. No worries, no trivial nonsense, and no messy people ruining my mood. He half opened his eyes. You don't seem to like that city very much. I curved my lips into a faint smile and lay down on the other side of the mat. Oh, you could tell? Was I that obvious? Marco closed his eyes. Yeah, pretty obvious. I chuckled softly, not intending to hide anything. Tell me, how do people change so fast? Everything used to be so good. My words were deliberate. Ryan and I had grown up together. Our families were old friends. Extremely close, everyone expected us to end up together. When we were kids, he used to protect me, never letting anyone bully me. Back then, no one could take his place in my heart. But as time passed, everything quietly changed. In middle school, he started flirting with other girls. When I got mad and confronted him, he said I was being petty. In high school, he dated several girls at once. When I cried and begged him to stop, he said I was annoying, that he was just having fun. Later, we went to different cities. I thought distance might help him settle down, but he only got worse. Girlfriend after girlfriend. Every time I found out, he'd have another excuse, blaming me for not trusting him. After graduation, when both families began pressuring us to get married, Ryan agreed on the surface but kept entangling himself with other women behind my back. Disappointment piled up in my heart, layer after layer. I finally realized Ryan was a complete scumbag, someone who had trampled my years of devotion and both families' hopes. I was disheartened. I thought I'd have a hard time letting go of that love. But when the truth finally hit me, I was strangely calm. When Ryan held Emma by the waist and said I was someone unimportant, I felt nothing. No anger, no heartbreak. Maybe I really had let go. Evening. The setting sun painted the sky red. Marco and I sat on the blanket, eating the food we'd brought. A thought suddenly crossed my mind. Marco, aren't you graduating soon? His hand froze for a moment. Yeah. I hesitated before speaking. Would you like to work at my company? Marco fell silent. I bit my lip. Maybe I had embarrassed him. Feeling awkward, I quickly added, I didn't mean it that way. I just thought it'd be nice if we could keep working together. Marco looked up at me briefly, then lowered his gaze. I know you mean well, but I want to make it on my own. A pang of disappointment rose in my chest, but I forced a smile. That's good too. It's great that you have your own goals. Just then, a breeze swept by, bringing a touch of chill. Marco frowned slightly. The wind's getting cold. I began packing up, catching his meaning. Let's head back. Then, Marco nodded and stood to help, as I followed behind him, watching his back. My phone suddenly buzzed in my pocket. I answered. Before I could even speak, a furious voice exploded from the other end. Diana, you damn girl, where the hell have you been again? Chapter 4. On the way back, Marco asked. Weren't we supposed to stay overnight in the countryside? Why the rush to go back all of a sudden? I smiled faintly and said nothing. Marco didn't ask again. The one who had called was my mother. She insisted that I return home immediately, no matter what. Thinking back, I knew from experience that trying to reason with her was useless, so I didn't even bother explaining. Thankfully, Marco was efficient as always. He stayed silent and drove me straight to my door. When I got out of the car, he waved goodbye and drove away. The moment I stepped inside, I saw my mother standing in the middle of the living room, her face dark and tense. For some reason, my heart started to race. You finally decided to come back. Her voice was sharp, piercing, her eyes filled with the kind of hatred that could cut flesh. I let out a bitter laugh. Was that really the gaze of a mother? I didn't answer her. I just changed my shoes and started toward my room. Clearly, there was nothing urgent. She just wanted to prove that I'd still come running whenever she called. A way to feed her need for control. But the next second, she lunged forward, grabbed my arm, and yanked me violently. I'm talking to you. What's with that mute act? Her strength sent me stumbling, nearly falling to the floor. Mom, can you please not do this? I couldn't hold it in anymore. She'd been like this all my life. The year I was born, my father left her. She raised me alone, with a kind of control so suffocating it was frightening. And yet, deep down, I knew she acted this way because she was terrified. Terrified that I'd leave her, just like my father did. That contradiction had always existed between us. I wrestled with it every day, but could never bring myself to truly break away. And now, that same conflict flared again. She glared at me, furious. Not do this? Look at yourself. What do you think you've become? Do you have any idea how hard it was for me to raise you? Are you going to abandon me too, just like that worthless father of yours? There it was again, every single time. Whenever I didn't do exactly what she wanted, she compared me to him. When I was younger, if I failed an exam, she'd grab the broom without a word and beat me, leaving bruises all over my body. You can't even do something this simple. What's the point of me raising you? She'd yell while striking me, no matter how much I cried or begged. It never reached her ears. I frowned, shaking off her grip. Can you stop saying that already? I've explained 1,000 times. But fine, believe whatever you want. If you think I want to leave you, then yes. That's the truth. My mother's expression cracked. You ungrateful brat. What did you just say? I clenched my fists, something rising hot and heavy in my chest. I fought to keep it down. So what did you call me back for this time? Her hand flew up, ready to slap me. How dare you talk back to me? I shut my eyes as tears spilled down uncontrollably. I'm not talking back. Can't I even have the right to explain myself anymore? Her hand froze midair, a flicker of hesitation flashing across her face. But soon it hardened again into anger. I'm doing this for your own good. Don't you dare be ungrateful. This time, I called you back because I want you to marry Ryan as soon as possible. Chapter 5. I let out a cold laugh. immediately understanding what she meant. Pushing for marriage? My mom avoided my gaze, but her intentions were clearly written all over her face. She pretended to stay calm. You two aren't getting any younger. Are you going to wait until you're past the right age to get married? The sooner you marry and have kids, the better. I'm doing this for your own good. Do you have any idea how painful it was for me to give birth to you? The air grew so heavy I could barely breathe. Right then, the doorbell rang, slicing through the tense silence. My mom shot me a glare before turning to open the door. The moment it opened, her face bloomed into a wide grin. Oh my. Ryan, you're here. Ryan forced a smile. Hello, Auntie. My mom immediately grabbed his hand, beaming. Ryan, come in, come in. But the moment she turned back around, her expression changed. She glared at me. Look at how polite and sensible Ryan is. Now look at you. I let out another cold laugh, unwilling to play along. Him? Sensible? Ha. Ryan looked at me with false kindness, his eyes full of mockery. Don't say that. Auntie's just thinking about what's best for you. I clenched my fists. Cut the act already. I didn't even know how things had turned into this mess. My mom slammed the table in fury. What kind of attitude is that? My knuckles turned white from how hard I was clenching my hands. Can you two stop putting on this performance already? As soon as I said that, both of them froze. My mom came closer, grabbing my hand and whispering in my ear, "Don't stir up trouble right now. Ryan's a boy I watched grow up. If you marry him, I can finally relax." I let out a bitter laugh. Now you care about me? When you were treating me like garbage all these years, did you ever care once about how I felt? I saw it clearly. Her expression cracked for a second. Then, without another glance at her, I walked straight up to Ryan. Ryan, weren't you the one who said you weren't done playing around and told me to wait 3 more years? Well, here's my answer now. No need to wait. We're not getting married. And with that, I turned around and went back to my room, locking the door behind me. Chapter 6. 3 months later, Marco graduated successfully. During this time, we barely saw each other. I was busy with work, and Marco was tied up with his thesis. One late summer afternoon, I was working overtime in the office when Marco called. Hey, long time no see. His voice sounded light and cheerful. Hearing that familiar voice, I couldn't help but smile. Did you graduate smoothly? His bright laugh came through the phone. Yep. I also got into a research institute. I paused and set down my pen. Which one? Even through the phone, I could imagine Marco's proud expression. The one in Jinzhou. I nearly burst out laughing. I knew I wasn't wrong about him. Jinzhou had the best research institute in the country. And conveniently, it was in our city. From our previous chats, I knew it had always been Marco's dream. See? He did it. But I had expected as much. I tapped the desk lightly with my finger, hinting playfully, Jinzhou. Huh, that's a great place. Chapter 7. I casually coaxed the reporting date out of Marco. When the day came, I waited at the gate. Marco! I patted his shoulder and popped out from behind him. Marco looked surprised and happy. What are you doing here? I raised my brows, feigning hurt. Came to see you off. The sun was shining gently. Trees cast dappled shade, and the breeze rustled the leaves softly. Marco and I walked side by side under the trees. I kicked a small stone lazily. Now that you're in the institute, I guess we won't be able to stay in touch. Marco paused slightly, but the flicker in his eyes quickly vanished. It's the age of technology. Nothing a phone can't fix. I smirked. So you're saying, you want to stay in touch? Marco's cheeks turned red. Don't you? Aw, nothing beats teasing a pure-hearted puppy like him. Marco really was fun to mess with, but if I kept going, he might explode. So I followed his lead and said softly, yeah, I want to see you. Before we knew it, we'd circled back to the institute gate. Marco was a head taller than me. Now, he stood one step down while I was on the steps, bringing our height nearly level. There was an unspoken tension in the air. Marco, congratulations. You can. Just then, a colleague happened to walk by. She greeted me cheerfully. Hi, Diana. Is this your boyfriend? She eyed Marco up and down, caught off guard. I quickly pulled Marco behind me. You, go ahead. Stop talking nonsense. The colleague walked away grinning mischievously. I looked at Marco awkwardly. He had a half smile on his face. Eyes unreadable. You figured it out? I scratched my head, face flushing, eyes darting away in embarrassment. Marco raised a brow, smirking with a hint of teasing. I'm not that dense. If I couldn't tell, I wouldn't have made it into this institute. He stepped forward slightly, closing the distance. I smiled and extended my hand. Welcome to our research institute. Junior. Chapter 8. Inside the lab at the research institute, Marco and I were focused on an important experiment. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from outside the door, one after another, pounding on the eardrums. So noisy. The next second, the lab door was pushed open. It was Ryan. He crossed his arms, face full of disdain. Sure enough, I wasn't wrong. The moment he opened his mouth, sarcasm dripped from his tone. He leaned close to my ear, lowering his voice. Well, found yourself a younger guy? I forced a smile. Why? Bothered by it? Ryan's expression stiffened, raising his brows lazily. Switched preferences. Into younger men now? The corner of my lips lifted. Who doesn't like someone younger? And besides, I've had enough of playboys. Time to find a warrior for true love. Marco is great. I like him a lot. Ryan's pupils contracted at my words, and his voice turned cold. Just messing around is one thing. Don't really get yourself involved. Don't forget, you're my wife. I smirked. Neither married nor engaged. How exactly am I your wife? Ryan, I'm done accommodating you. You were right. You said you weren't done playing around. Then go play. Ryan's gaze sharpened. Diana, I'm not joking. I looked him straight in the eye. What a coincidence. Neither am I. Ryan clenched his fists so hard they creaked. If you looked closely, you could even see veins bulging on his temple. He gritted his teeth, as if he wanted to tear me apart. Fine. Diana, you better not disappoint me. When I snapped back, we both seemed to have returned to our composed selves. Ryan looked Marco up and down, tone full of mockery. Well, you two newbies seem pretty diligent, but whether your efforts are heading in the right direction, now that's another story. I paused what I was doing, frowning. Ryan, what do you mean? We're following the proper process and methods for this experiment. What's wrong with that? Ryan let out a cold laugh. Process? Procedures are rigid, people are flexible. With your skills, what kind of valuable results do you think you can get? Marco raised his head, eyes calm as he looked at him. Ryan, if you have objections, feel free to point them out directly. No need for this sarcasm. Ryan snorted and looked down his nose at us. All right, then I'll say it. The design of your experiment is flawed from the start, and you're still burying your heads in it. If this isn't a waste of time, what is? I frowned and couldn't help but retort. Ryan, who are you to say that? We finalized the plan after multiple rounds of discussion and research. You weren't even involved. Yet you're so quick to discredit our work. Where's your evidence? Ryan looked confident. He stepped forward and pointed at the equipment. With this gear, can you really achieve the precision you need? Don't end up with nothing but wasted effort. Marco chuckled, answering slowly. We're fully aware of the equipment's performance, probably better than you are. And of course, we're compensating for any shortcomings through proper operation and adjustments. So this research experiment, you can leave it to us with peace of mind. Ryan suddenly laughed. Compensate? You're way too naive. Messing around like this, if the lab suffers losses, who's going to take responsibility? I saw Marco open his mouth, about to speak, but I quickly cut in. Ryan, don't go overboard. We're working seriously here, not here for you to throw cold water. He seemed satisfied, like he'd achieved his desired effect. Ryan's tone suddenly changed. I'm just giving you a kind reminder. If you don't listen and something goes wrong, don't say I didn't warn you. With that, he turned to leave. At the door, he paused again and looked back. Oh right, just wait, you'll see. This experiment won't end well. Chapter 9. Just when I thought Ryan had finally quieted down, he showed up at the institute again, flamboyantly bringing Emma along. As soon as the door to the institute opened, Ryan shouted at the top of his lungs, "Everyone stop what you're doing. I'm here to introduce someone very important." Marco and I, along with everyone else, were drawn by the sudden noise, turning toward them in confusion. Seeing it was Ryan, I figured nothing good would come of it. I couldn't help but speak up. "Ryan, what are you doing? This is a research institute, not a place for you to act out." But he just sneered and wrapped his arm around Emma's shoulder like he was claiming territory. "Ha! Today you nerds are going to witness something amazing. This is Emma, the hottest internet celebrity right now." I felt nothing, not even a ripple. If anything, I wanted to laugh. Everyone else remained stone-faced. To us, what mattered was the experiment's outcome, not some so-called influencer. Even if an award-winning actor showed up today, we wouldn't flinch. Emma picked up where Ryan left off, speaking in a sugary tone. "Oh no, this place feels so cold and boring. Ryan, let's go out and have some fun instead." Marco frowned, his tone stern. "Mr. Ryan, Miss Emma, this is a research facility, a place for serious scientific work. If you want to play, please leave." But Ryan wasn't having it. He put his hands on his hips and raised his voice. "What? I can't bring her here for a tour? We're doing your lab a favor." I was speechless, struggling to hold back the urge to punch someone. I set down my work and walked up to Ryan and Emma. "This is a workplace. You're not welcome here if you're just here to stir up trouble and create chaos." Ryan widened his eyes and roared at me. "Diana, what did you just say? How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who we are?" He leaned in close and whispered in my ear so only I could hear. "Careful, or I really won't marry you." He still seemed to think his so-called love could threaten me. Little did he know, in my heart, his love was as cheap as a plastic bag. Emma crossed her arms and pouted dramatically, fanning the flames. "Ryan Gidge, they're so mean I'm scared." Seeing this, Ryan became even more arrogant. "Do you know the influence Emma has? Her stepping foot here is already a huge favor to you. Better watch out or we'll expose how unfriendly this lab is." Marco had finally had enough. "If you're leaving, then leave. Stop getting in the way of our work. We don't have time to play along with your nonsense. Go ahead and expose us. Do it now. Immediately. However you like. Just get out of this lab." It was the first time I'd seen Marco this angry. Before, I always thought he was the type to tolerate anything. I hadn't expected him to stand up and speak with such righteous indignation. Isn't that a kind of growth? I don't even remember exactly how Ryan and Emma left the lab. I only remember they left in total embarrassment. Chapter 10. Ever since the last time Ryan brought Emma to cause trouble, the Institute had strengthened its internal security. Without Ryan's interference, our experimental project progressed especially smoothly. Finally, after a week of consecutive late-night shifts by our team, working overtime to complete all the procedures, the very next day after our research was approved, the patent we applied for started trending online. To formally commemorate this meaningful moment, the Institute organized a press conference just for our team, at the spacious and well-lit press conference venue. The lighting was dazzling, and the entire place was arranged with dignity and grandeur. Marco and I stood side by side on stage, camera flashes hitting our faces so hard it was hard to keep our eyes open. My palms were slightly sweaty. It was my first time in front of a large audience, and I was both nervous and excited. Our team members worked in perfect coordination to introduce the results of our hard work to everyone. Compared to me, Marco appeared calm and composed. His voice was full of emotion, and it was clear he was making an effort to ensure every word reached the audience clearly. Although this patent belonged to an emerging industry and few people knew much about it, the journalists and audience present were very respectful. Whether during the presentation or the Q&A, they all paid close attention to us. Soon, the conference was drawing to a close. The host walked on stage with a smile, about to give the closing remarks. But Marco suddenly reached out and took the microphone. A trace of surprise flashed across the host's face. But in the next second, as if understanding something, he showed a knowing smile. Under the spotlight, Marco's eyes became incredibly gentle. Holding the microphone, He turned to face me. His gaze was full of unmistakable affection, whether it's everyone here or the online viewers. At this important moment, I have something else very important to announce. I looked at him in total confusion. What part of the program was this? I don't remember rehearsing it. Was this a mistake? As I looked at him with questioning eyes, Marco's Adam's apple rolled nervously. The next second, he gently knelt down on one knee, as if he were handling a rare treasure. He took out a carefully prepared velvet box from his pocket, and his fingers trembled slightly from the tension. As he slowly opened it, a dazzling diamond ring revealed itself. Gasps of surprise rose from the audience. I was dumbfounded, as I covered my mouth in shock. Marco was already kneeling in front of me. Diana, forgive me for making this decision on my own, proposing to you here at the press conference. I hope it's a happy surprise. In the past year, you've been by my side, supporting me. I'm certain, without you, I wouldn't be who I am today. Although we haven't known each other for long, I believe time is just a reference. The only thing I'm sure of is, I love you. Will you marry me, Diana? His voice trembled slightly. Every word seemed to carry the weight of determination. I couldn't believe that someone as straight-laced and logical as Marco had carefully crafted such heartfelt words. The audience was silent for a moment, and then erupted in surprised cheers. Applause thundered like waves, and shouts of joy filled the air. Someone started chanting, "Say yes! Say yes!" The entire venue was swept up in the mood. Reporters raised their cameras, flashbulbs flashing nonstop, eager to capture this romantic moment. I was overwhelmed with emotion and just about to say yes, when suddenly, my phone began to vibrate in my pocket. I frowned. Who was ruining the moment right now? Helplessly, I answered, and a voice I knew too well came through. Ryan. Furious and on the verge of exploding, Diana, how dare you say yes? Hearing that, I became even more certain of my decision. Yes, I said firmly. Not only do I dare say yes, I want you to hear it loud and clear. Chapter 11. Before Ryan could blow up my phone completely, Marco and I made our relationship public. In the days that followed, Ryan kept trying to sabotage our relationship. First, he approached Marco, attempting to lure him away with a huge sum of money, even mocking him arrogantly. A poor guy like you couldn't make this much money in a lifetime. As long as you leave Diana, it's all yours. But Marco saw through him effortlessly. As far as I know, you and Diana were childhood sweethearts, weren't you? You were close enough to have the upper hand, yet you blew your chance. Now you regret it? Looks like you're not really after her, just your wounded pride. Ryan started to panic. What the hell are you talking about? But Marco didn't give him an inch. He exposed him bluntly, right to his face. Diana told me everything about your past. Stop lying to yourself. You don't love her as much as you think. It's just your pathetic ego acting out. You didn't know how to cherish her when you had the chance. And now that you've lost her, you want her back? That's such a cliche. The world doesn't revolve around you. Good luck with that. Marco told me all this later that night, pestering me until I gave in and let him rant. He really had held back a lot. But Ryan wasn't done after that failed. He cooked up another scheme. He deliberately spread rumors in the media, claiming my relationship with Marco was just a publicity stunt. He even fabricated sleazy details, trying to completely ruin our reputations. But Marco and I didn't really care. To us, the internet is just a tool for killing time. And honestly, we don't usually have much time to kill. Online drama fades fast. Today's gossip will be forgotten tomorrow. Soon enough, our so-called scandal lost heat. It was like Ryan had punched into cotton, no impact. Then he went so far as to drag my mother into it. But Marco and I had already given her enough money in exchange for my freedom. No matter what Ryan said, my mom couldn't control me anymore. So that tactic fell flat too. I thought things would end there. But Ryan turned out to be even more relentless than I'd imagined. Somehow, he got his hands on a forged document, accusing Marco of plagiarism in one of his past research projects. It caused an uproar in the academic world. But after a thorough investigation, the police discovered that the document had been fabricated by Ryan in collusion with a rival institute. Their scheme was exposed. Ryan's malicious intent was laid bare for the public to see. And just like that, he became the target of public outrage. The internet tore him to shreds. He should have known, when you lift a stone, it might just end up crushing your own foot. Marco had no intention of letting him off the hook. He decided to sue Ryan to the end, and I fully supported him. While we waited for the court's ruling, I went to see Ryan. He was already a mess, disheveled and unrecognizable. He looked at me, still unable to hide his arrogance in his eyes. "Did you come to laugh at me?" I shook my head. I felt no pity, just that he had brought it on himself. "Ryan, if something isn't yours, don't force it. Use the wrong method, and you'll stay trapped forever." My words were vague but sharp. Treasure the present, but I doubt you'll ever learn that. At least not anytime soon. Because of your selfishness, you ruined my youth and Emma's career. How could you ever make up for that? Emma's been blacklisted from the entire entertainment industry. No one dares to work with her now. Her career's over, and unless something miraculous happens, the two of you will probably never meet again in this lifetime. And you, Ryan, jail is the best punishment for what you've done. After saying that, I turned and left without looking back. But after just a few steps, I heard faint sobbing behind me. I froze. Ryan had never cried in front of anyone before, but I didn't stop, because I knew those were crocodile tears. I walked away with big strides. Ahead, bathed in sunlight, someone was waiting for me by the car. As I got closer, Marco waved at me. I ran straight into his arms, and he caught me firmly. "Careful, why are you running so fast?" he said, gently stroking my head. I buried my face in his chest and mumbled, "Of course I'd run, just to see you."